Hey everyone, it's been a while since I did a recording and made a video to upload on here. I have some notes down on some topics that I wanted to go over, and this video I wanted to go over a tier list on people that fall into a particular type of group and how I felt that I some patterns I've noticed from a from a group of people that I think I can pass some judgment upon. I am conscious though that people are individuals, but if I were to say on average how people would see me based upon how I look, then I think I could come down to a conclusion based on my experience. So who am I? I'm I look fairly young despite being not 20 or a teen. I look like a teen or in my early 20s. I could pass for that. I'm fairly short, and I wouldn't say that I'm on the spectrum. I think it has a lot to do with being depressed slash apathetic, although other people might see me as, yeah, on the spectrum, but I don't think I am. I haven't went through any official diagnosis, and if I were to do a test, I don't think I would pass. So yeah, based upon what I do for a living, I am exposed to a whole variety of people, and based upon who they are, some features I notice, I think I could make a general summation of how I'm treated based upon um one major factor that I've noticed. So on the left hand side, I have like a group of people on the one of the main things that I've seen from them. I have age, gender, race, religion, social economic status, and height. Okay, so and on the right hand side, of course, I have like the different tier list on who they are, with S being basically like really kind and generous, B like average, they treat fairly, and then I have like D and F, like a group of people that I think are just generally very terrible to me based upon how I am, how I look, and how I behave. I'm not gonna go in order here, so let's go through religion first. And of course, I don't know the religion of the majority of people that I am exposed to, but I can make some assumptions. So let's do Christian first. Christian, I would say the average person. Again, I can't make any inferences based upon people that are Christian. I'm sure I dealt with people that are good and bad. I can't make any assumptions at all, so I'm gonna put this on um, kind. Although it'd probably be between here, but I'll choose kind. Let's see, race. Let's go with South Asian. I feel like they're generally nice to me. This includes what, like Indian. Although I do have experience with a bunch of them asking like discounts, but that was when I first started in the role where I was a bit unconfident. Uh, Again, it's sort of like a hit or miss. I'll put uh I generally feel comfortable being around them, and I feel that they're more kind on general. Of course, there's again one or two that I probably had a bad time with, but I feel comfortable. Let's see, age. Okay, so the teens, young kids. I feel like I get ignored or not given as much attention. It's very quick, not much eye contact, one word. So this is going to be on a C tier. Height. Now I am short too. I haven't dealt with some. I'm short, so I sort of understand what it's like to be the height. But I honestly never felt like I've had. This is hard because some instances where people were jerks were probably as short as me, and I could understand the rage that comes with it, with being short. I'm gonna put let's see, tier. Also, I noticed that if you're small, you might have to compensate by being loud and aggressive. That's why I put them on C tier. Let's go to race, Middle Eastern. Yeah, I haven't had so much good experiences, so I'm gonna put a D tier from Middle Eastern. And I think the reason why this is because the majority. Uh, by the way, some. I'm making assumptions on here, but I think the majority come from portions in the Middle East that were bombed or destroyed. So they come from these bad backgrounds. and then they're here in this country, and they they're basically underprivileged, which is why I feel like they can be a bit tough on people. Same as how I feel short people as well. Like most people that would belong down here are people that aren't so well privileged. And of course, 12 through 19 might be a little bit of the opposite. No, not really of the opposite, but uh, I think they're just really busy. Maybe they have other things to do, so they can't spend it any second considering me at all whatsoever. What's next? Socioeconomic status. Start out with high income. Again, this is based on upon assumption. Um, I feel like I'm seen as like a worm more often than not, and this is in the same logic, the same sense as young people, 12 through 19, that I'm simply not important or interesting enough to be given respect, being in my role as well as my characteristics. And there are some moments where I feel like I, I feel some levels of aggression. And okay, let's do gender. Uh, so let's do female. What would woman be? And put them along where the questions are. I had some nice, kind people, as well as others that wouldn't give me any time of the day either. Uh, it's really hard to separate it, although, because it might just be older people, older girls that are kind of nice. I'll do older next. Older around 60. They're definitely I'll definitely put them into a saint tier because I like serving some elderly because some elderly, like one or two out of the 20, could give me a hard time, and I suspect purposely try to ruin my day. But others, they're really, the majority are really thoughtful, are really kind. uh they might be lonely, so they try to make conversation, but I always appreciate that. They belong in the A tier. And if it was all of them that were that way, then it would definitely be an S easily. But I've just had like one or two experiences that were not so fun. Uh, Southeast Asian, same thing. I'm brown as well, and also my eyes look like somewhere lying in the East, around Asia. Therefore, I think there's some familiarity with other Southeast Asians I have, and I feel like I have a little bit of some rapport. But outside of that, I do feel like they're easy to work with. Height, 5 5'4" to 6 foot. Um, they're a little bit taller than me, and I feel like those that are a little bit tall feel as if they have some power over me. That's why I would put them in the C tier. And this is like people on average, and people on average, uh, they they're not so kind. They're not very kind, and it has to do with all this above. To me, is my subject upon my personality as well as other characteristics that I can't change. My face and as well as my height. What's next? 34 through 60. This is basically average where I can't really determine where to where to put where to put them, but on average they would belong in a B tier. 34 through 60 years old. Yeah, I wouldn't say that I have some negative experience on them with average. There's, well, they're the average person, so in that case, I might put them like around here. I'll put them around here. Age, did that, religion. Again, I don't know at all if they're like atheists, but I feel like they give me more time in the day. I think they come from backgrounds that aren't really so privileged. Therefore, this is where the majority of the A tier lies. Again, I don't know if they are atheist or pagan, or if they follow any mainstream religion, but I don't quite get that from the average person, and I I I could kind of I could tell it's based upon it's just based upon a feeling, which is probably which doesn't really say anything, but um I'll let this stay. Okay, male. Other men, it's a hit or miss. I'll put them in like a B tier. Yeah, I don't really notice a difference between both the genders. I had some nice women. I had some males that are also really kind. Well, men in general are kind of like aggressive actually, so I'm gonna put them around or the C tier. They're fairly I think they're fairly aggressive in general. Maybe that has to do with age, I'm not sure. It's hard to separate them because it might be something else on the list here. So that's just for gender. Yeah, girls are definitely more easier to talk with, less aggressive than other men. What else? Age 12-year-olds. I I did have some exposure with those that are young. Can't really say anything about them. I think they're fairly kind and respectful. So it would be around the what else? East Asian. I do think some East Asians come from good backgrounds, and while I am kind of Asian myself, uh, I don't want to put them in C or B, but sometimes I do feel like I'm a worm, especially with like Asians that are around my age. I definitely feel like I'm like a worm, and older Asians are they kind of make me feel uncomfortable. So yeah, honestly, I'm gonna put them in C tier. I'm gonna put them in C tier. Let's get race out of the way. Hispanic. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna put them in C tier too. I feel like some yeah, uh, Hispanics and Middle Eastern. I feel like they're interchangeable, and yeah, I do feel like an overwhelming amount of aggression from them as well. Maybe for whatever reason, they grew up fairly underprivileged. Like being underprivileged goes in both ways. Either you're like a good person with it, or you're fairly bad. That's what I've noticed. Like if you're underprivileged, you could be underprivileged to have money and be a nice, kind person, or you could be underprivileged and not have money and resort to crime. Yeah, they belong in D. Middle income, I would put them around C tier because I believe they represent the average people, low income, like poor, uh, and like homeless. Some of them they really want my time, like they really want to talk with me. But I did notice I could get along with them like really well, and they're the types of underprivileged people that don't ask for a lot out of life, and I'm so close to putting them in S tier because when I see someone that's down, but again, there's that one or two that would bring it down to D based upon them alone. But in general, I I think I feel like they I'm treated well with them. A think tier. Let's go to race again. Black. Get some that are really aggressive. I'm gonna put them. It gets a half and half. There's some that are really kind and others that are fairly aggressive. and because of those two balance each other out, I would put them around where average is. Religion, Islamic. Uh, I get some nice. I get some nice ones. Hmm. They are kind of nice actually, and I do like serving them. I feel comfortable on average like serving them, and I didn't have too many bad experiences with them. Age, so 22, 34, which is around my age. They represent not the average person that I encounter, but again, I feel like okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them in a C tier and move 19 through 20 up one. Yeah, with this age group, with this age group, I don't I don't feel like I get a lot of eye contact and one-word responses with some questions I ask, and I don't feel like I get too much of their attention as well as being seen as a worm on average. Of course, amongst all of this with C and D, this isn't how they are in general. There's always one or two or five out of the many that I encounter each day that are definitely S tier, as well as A and B. There's one or two or five that are completely the worst and would belong down here. That being said, I have three left. No, two left. White and 6 foot. So white, I definitely do feel like I'm seen as like a worm as well, based upon I feel like I'm like the worm. That's why I would probably put them in C tier. And finally height. So height, tall people, they would belong. I'm gonna put them in A. And the reason why I think that they're nice is because they're tall. I think they learn early because they're tall and they generally with height has they have some power. They feel that power in them, and if they were to act act upset, especially to someone that is shorter than them, lesser than them in several different factors, then I think it would look completely bad. I think it will look bad. That's why I think they on average are kind kind people in general because they learn young that how they act with people that aren't their height. Uh, uh it it it's not a good image. That's why they're an A tier. They're nice to me on average. again, there is that one or two that are tall that I feel are DNC tier, but uh, taller folks do give me time of the day, are generally nicer, and part of it maybe has to do with protecting their image, because being upset, mean towards someone that appears lesser than you would generally look bad. Like if you were to see it from a distance, someone tall, um, not acting like kind, it would look like they're bullying, and I think that's why they're they're kind on average. They pick it up young. They learn it young. So that's my tier list on people. I went through age, gender, race, religion, socio-economic economic status, and height. So no one belongs in S, because that would mean that a group of people of of said said uh, group, all of them would be an S tier or F tier, but I haven't encountered one single characteristic amongst all of humanity that would belong here or here. Because again, people are individuals, and there are still those outliers, and it's really hard to separate people based upon like who they are between uh, these fixed stuff. So there you have it. That's this video. Been a while since I uploaded, and I still have some other ideas on other topics that I want to go through. Thanks for watching. Bye now.